But if you're not going into the world, if you're not taking real experiences that you have, real problems that you have, and putting that into your designs, it's gonna show. So I think that the best way to become a great designer is to think about things that matter to you. Think about things you love. Or like a song, like you put on Flashing Lights by Kanye. That's what I did. And I just listened to that song over and over. I'm like, I'm not gonna stop designing this shirt and so I can make something that makes you feel like this song. That's all it is. It's taking actual real experiences that you have and feelings that you have and expressing it. It's not like a muscle that you just put hours into it. You got to put your energy and your spirit into it.
Welcome back to the channel. And if you're new to the channel, I'm Nicholas Clark, co-owner and designer of WRLDINVSN. All right, and in this video, I got a special guest with me today. All right, this young man, look at me, this young man. This young man been watching our videos for a minute, right? Hey, but he finally then made it in the seat. We live right now at Atlanta Streetwear Market. If y'all hear some sound in the back, that's just because we're doing a live pop-up shop with a live podcast. It's super different right here. All right, and what I really want to do is I want to talk about your brand, all right? But before we talk about your brand, what I want to do is I want you to introduce yourself. Let them know who you is.
My name is Jackson Green. I'm a 19-year-old fashion designer from Atlanta, Georgia. I'm founder of streetwear fashion company, Born Other.
Hey, Born Other is in the building. My fellow friend Jackson. All right, so one thing I really like about your brand is you got some crazy products. All right, so throughout this video, I definitely want to show different products. And what I want to do is just really show like how creative your brand is. But in your words, like tell me what Born Other is. Like give me the whole, like, and before we even get into that, just to let y'all know he only 19 years old. All right, only 19 years old. Hey, I feel like I'm getting older over here. I am super proud of you. But let us know, what does Born Other mean? How did you even come up with the name? Was this your first brand? Was this your second brand? Give me the background story of Born Other.
So I remember when 2020 hit, I was about 15 years old, and we all know what it was like being locked inside of our houses. But being locked in your freshman year of high school, like not being around friends, not being around anybody, it gives you a lot of time to think about who you are and where you're going in your life. So what I did is, being by myself, I realized I had a lot of personal trauma that I had to unpack. And COVID didn't just hit me hard, but it hit my friends, it hit my family even tougher. And I had a friend of mine, she was in and out of mental hospitals for attempting suicide. And I remember one day I asked her, like, when you leave, like, why do you keep going back? And she said, she feels like there's no place for someone like her. Like, she was born with a personality disorder that she felt when she left the hospital, that was the only place for people like her to be supported. And she said, I just wish that one day there was a place for people that are different and they just can't help it. And that really resonated with me. And years later down the line, when I turned 15, and I was designing clothes, I've been an artist before, so I wasn't just putting a logo on a design. I was making things that felt like paintings, that felt like comic books, that felt like stories, because that's what I liked. So as I was doing it, people started seeing, man, your clothes are so expressive. They have all these storylines behind them, and they have these meaning, but where are they? Like, they don't exist. They're in my tablet. So I started designing a brand just around me making clothes for myself. And I realized, man, like, I thought about her and I was like, what if that's my purpose? What if my purpose is to provide that safe case for kids like me, for kids all across the world, or even adults who weren't supported, who were torn down because they chose a different path, who were torn down because of how they were born. And they need a safe place. And they need a community that can love them and be there for them because they didn't have that. And we all deserve that. So that's what Born Other is about, embracing and trying to empower people for being who they already are, not who they can be.
Born Other. All right, look, and just to wind back a little bit and go even further back, like, when did we actually meet? Like, I remember it was one time, like, what was the event that we met at? How did we even meet? Like, and tell me some things that you even, like, some of the videos that you was watching before we even met. Like, what's some things that you maybe learned from us? Like, just give me the background of how we even sitting down right now knowing each other.
All right, so I was a senior in high school. I had been doing pop-ups outside 3 days out of the week while being a full-time student for about maybe 3 months.
Damn, that's what's up.
Right? So that was a most of y'all don't know, but pop-ups kill you. Legit. Like standing
Energy
outside
wise,
by
right?
yourself.
Energy wise.
Literally.
You made some good
right?
money though.
I was doing good. Like starting off, I was doing
You
good.
made
'cause
good
I was-
money though.
And I was doing it by myself. So I was just hustling. And I would watch y'all videos when I got back home with my mom. And we'd be like, man, like, they doing something right. What is it that I'm missing that they're doing? And y'all have videos like how to scale your business, how to get to 10K a month, how to all these different things. And I like what we liked most wasn't the success of what you were doing, it's that you did it with someone who was basically like your brother.
Yeah, got you.
Like that team, that unity. And I was like, I'm gonna have that in my team one day. So there was an event called InvestFest, and I was looking at the roster who's gonna be there, and I saw it was WRLDINVSN. I was like, man, this may cost me like 1,000, 2,000, maybe it was 3. I don't know exactly, including my team I set up to do this. But if I get in there, I can meet WRLDINVSN.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. I worked my ass off, and I got in there, and I came up with a pitch, and I came to your team before y'all was even here, and I was like, man, they don't even know that this whole shit is a setup. I'm gonna meet them. I'm gonna tell them about what I'm doing, and I don't care. They gonna love it. That's all it was. Like I wanted to show somebody that I was watching on my screen that I can do what they do.
Facts.
Brand owners that's ready to acquire their first 100 customers and make over $1,000 every single month, this is for you. We have created our Activate Your Vision University. We have been working on this for the last 4 months. And inside of this university, it has every system that we have created and are currently using to continuously scale our brand, WRLDINVSN, right now. Yes, you're gonna get the Facebook ads. Yes, you're gonna get the email and text message marketing play. But ultimately, I want you to join our network of brand owners for only $7 for 7 days. Now, at the end of these 7 days, let me go ahead on and break the news to you. We will not charge your card like other most subscription-based programs. All right, we will allow you to experience and enjoy these 7 days without having you thinking on the 8th day, oh, I'm about to get charged. No, this is not that. We want to see if you are a good fit for the network, and we also want to see if we are a good fit for you to help you scale and help you grow to, like I say, acquiring your first 100 customers and making over $1,000 every single month. Click the link somewhere on the screen, get access for only $7. Every brand owner, every clothing brand, we can help you scale. Let's get it.
I like that. Hey, what a lot of people don't know is like we be calling each other here and there. We might have some tough ass conversations. Like I feel like you be coming up with the most brilliantest idea, and then I be like, like how does that feel? Like whenever like you just be thinking about something so tough, then you call me and you like, what you think about this? And then I be like, nah, that ain't it. Like how does that hurt or does that motivate you? Like really, I want you to let the audience know about those deep conversations we be having, and let me know how impactful those conversations is. Or one thing that you learned. What was one story or something?
I'll give you one. I remember it sat with me so strong. He told me something like this, right? We were in this store called The Lab in Atlanta, right? And it's a manufacturing house and a retail store. And we were in their back meeting room. And I was telling him about this collab that I wanted us to do.
Bring it closer.
And I wanted to price it a bit higher than they typically would. And he told me about this product that I have has been very successful. My Listen to Kids hoodies, I charge $165 for it. And Nick told me something that I sat with for like 2 weeks. He said there's 3 types of brands out there. And he said he learned this from a dude working at either Neiman's or Saks. There's streetwear brands, there's luxury brands, and designer brands. And the 3 are based around price point, but they're also based around the way that they basically target their customer. Streetwear is like Target, everyday brands, WRLDINVSN. Luxury, it may be your local brand that may charge $200 for a hoodie. And then designer is your Hermes, your Gucci, etc. And he said that the brands that are most successful are the streetwear and the designer brands because their customers already exist. You just have to figure out how to target those customers. But the luxury brands are typically selling a fresh story, or they're selling quality. And people buy more clothes for affordability or for status. So he's like, it's gonna be easier to scale those companies. And he was saying, not necessarily that I have to be one or the other, but if I start looking at my business like that, I may have an easier time finding my customers. And I sat with that. I was like, man, 3 types of brands. And I was like, do I want to be a streetwear or do I want to be a designer brand? Because if luxury is harder, and I realized that that's only true from my personal research. It's most true for Black-based companies. And I realized that because when I think about how my friends buy stuff, they buy the stuff that's affordable and trendy, or they buy the stuff that is intentionally expensive that they'll save up for, but they don't necessarily buy for quality. But when I look at white people or other cultures, I look at brands like Urban Outfitters. I look at brands like Lululemon. I look at brands like North Face, or even cars. Look at brands like Jeep. They're lifestyle-based brands. And they're focused on giving quality for a certain type of lifestyle, a niche customer, and expanding that niche. And it made me think, man, I'm so focused on targeting the people in Atlanta, targeting my friends, targeting Nick and Marlon. There's 8 billion people on this planet. How many other cultures can I solve problems for through my fashion? How can I be bigger than streetwear, bigger than shoes, bigger than anything that I'm doing right now? So it made me sit and think, like, I could fit into this rule that Nick gave me, but what if I could change the terms? What if I could expand my company to bigger than a fashion brand? And it just made my head click. And as soon as I thought of that, I called him and I called Marlon. I was like, Nick was wrong. I figured it out. I figured it out. That was my favorite. That was my favorite conversation.
Yeah, I see. Is what Tupac said. He said, I might not change the world, but I'm gonna spark somebody else's brain to go ahead on to change the world. So hey, I sparked you up until you changing the world. All right, but I see another thing is like, let's talk about creating designs. A lot of new brand owners watch our podcast. So like, just give me some advice on, or just let us know what a typical day look like you in a design world.
Well, something that,
do you make designs every day? Do you make designs when you just feeling creative? Like, how does it work?
so something that for me personally, I consider myself an athlete. I work out twice a day, 5 times a week. I'll train MMA. I fight. I don't worry about balling. I fight.
Man, you can't
It
ball.
don't matter
You
if you can beat
athlete.
me one-on-one if I can beat you up. But
Say less.
anyways, a lot of times I think that people approach designing similar to how they approach athletics or working out. Like, if I just keep working this muscle, that muscle will grow. But designing isn't necessarily like that. Designing comes more from your spirit. Like, if I sit down for 9 hours and I design every single day, that doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to become a better designer. Honestly, are you going to a party? Are you meditating? Are you dating? Are you reading? Are you experiencing new things to fuel your spirit? And that energy is going to come off into your designs. You still got to put your 10,000 hours in. But if you're not going into the world, if you're not taking real experiences that you have, real problems that you have, and putting that into your designs, it's going to show. Like, so I think that the best way to become a great designer is to think about things that matter to you. Think about things you love. Or like a song. Like, you can put on Flashing Lights by Kanye. That's what I did. And I just listened to that song over and over. I'm like, I'm not going to stop designing this shirt, and so I can make something that makes me feel like this song. And that's all it is. It's taking actual real experiences that you have and feelings that you have and expressing it. It's not like a muscle that you just put hours into it. You got to put your energy and your spirit into it.
Say less. Hey, so we got to drop some gems on them before we get up out of here. And one thing that we talk about a lot is like popping up. Out of many people like that I met that have a brand, I feel like you've probably done the most pop-ups that you was able to do, especially being the age that you at and saying that you're in high school. I feel like you were saying that you was popping up at like Atlanta Station like every week. So just like, I need you to drop some gems now, just from your perspective. Like, how important is it? Because there's a lot of people who start a brand and they get discouraged because they're not making like the money that they need to make online. But I always tell them, hey, go do a pop-up shop. And they like, I don't want to be the face of my brand. Or they just lazy and they just not getting out there. So like, how important is it? How important was it for you to like take your brand to the streets?
I think that every brand needs a foundation. And for me personally, the reason why doing pop-ups was so important is it made me learn who my customer is. Dealing with 100, 200 people walking in front of you that you got to talk to and get rejected by constantly, you start to notice habits and patterns of what people gravitate towards with your brand that you just can't get off of a reel or TikTok, no matter how many times it blows up. And you start to build some more of a sense of responsibility for your company, because sometimes I tell people about what Born Other means and what we're trying to do, and they tell me about their fathers, their mothers, their fears with their children. They tell me about how they didn't feel like their parents listened to them growing up. And I realized, like, I wasn't just here to make $1,000 outside. I was here to connect with these people. And these are the people that need a change in their lives. So when I'm out and I'm working, I'm like, man, I don't want to do a pop-up today. I don't want to design anymore. I don't want to even brush. When I get really depressed, I don't even want to brush my teeth. Like, I don't want to do anything. But I'll think about the people that I met in person. I'm like, man, like, there's people out there just like me. And if I'm not fighting for them, who gonna fight for me?
Hey, that's facts. I tell new brand owners all the time, bro. It's like you actually surveying your customers. It's like you going out there getting real life feedback. People telling you, yeah, this product not it. This product is it. Like, you need to do this, do that. Even though you know your brand more than anybody else will know your brand, but it's still great to get that feedback because you're not the one that's buying your product. Like, they the one that's buying the product. This is a scenario that I tell everybody that's business owners. It's two streets that you live on. It's First Street and the Second Street. First Street is producers. Second Street is consumers. Like, we living on First Street right now because we're producing. Our clients are living on Second Street because they are consuming what we're producing. But most of the time when you start a brand, they still in the mindset of being on Second Street. When in reality, you need to be on First Street. So in order to stay on First Street, you got to know who on Second Street. You got to know who you're selling to. You see what I'm saying? So you going out doing them pop-ups, allowing you to really survey, really get to understand who's living on Second Street. Because if you don't, guess what you're going to be doing? You're going to be right next door to whoever you think your client is, and you're going to be right there on Second Street right with them. So that's my takeaway. I actually learned that in this book called The Magic of Thinking Big. That was one of the first books I ever read. Last thing, one thing they always say is, I guess this kind of like my spiel right here. One thing they always say is don't do business with family. But your moms be holding it down out there, so we got to give a shout out to moms, right?
I love you, Mom.
We got to give a shout out. Hey, this was a short one, but this is a good one. This is going to be the first one. This ain't going to be the last one, right?
No, sir.
Because you got to get up. You got to get up there with Marlon.
No, sir.
So whenever we catch you again, we're going to run a part 2 with Marlo. All right?
So no more.
Hey, Nicholas Clark, co-owner and CEO of World Envision. Who I'm with?
Born Other, at Born Other, www.bornother.com.
Anything else you want to leave them with?
If you have a vision, if you have a brand, it is your duty, it is your purpose to bring it to life. So go do it.
Let's get it.